In the beginning of the drama, the female lead Chen Li is shown who is sleeping in the class and was dreaming of becoming a big designer when suddenly she stands up. Seeing this, the teacher says, "Since you are standing, you should answer this question." So she asks her friend, "What did the teacher ask?" Her friend tells her, "He asked about maths." Hearing this, she starts saying, "Math is very difficult and at the same time it confuses a lot." Then the male lead Shou Way also comes from behind who was late for the class. Then the teacher starts asking, "Where is that girl named Chen Li?" On hearing this name, Shou Way pauses there for a second because he already knew Chen Li. Now the teacher asks, "Where are you, Chen Li? Come out." So she wears a cap and stands in front of the sir. The teacher says, "Take off your cap." So she lifts her cap above her face and then teacher says, "Yes, you have said absolutely right about maths." Sir leaves after giving his lecture, but as soon as Chen Li comes out of the class, Shou Way also follows her. Seeing him, she says, "Why are you following me? I have flu. You will also get flu." So he says, "It doesn't matter to me. Why didn't you say goodbye to me before leaving? Finally, I have seen you after 2 years and 6 months." So she starts running from there, but there is a tree in front. So whenever she tries to run away from there, Shou Way catches her every time, but she runs away and finally reaches her dorm. Now, wherever she is eating with her friends, she has to run from there also, as soon as Shou Way comes there. When she is going with her friend, she runs away from there also because Shou Way was standing in front. But Shou Way catches her and says, "How long will you run away from me like this? Then you will have to answer me why you didn't say goodbye to me and leave. After all, we were girlfriend-boyfriend." But she bites his hand and runs away from there. Now one of her roommates comes and gives her an invitation card, which was for Chen Li. Chen Li is also very happy and opens it, and she tells them, "I have been invited by Hang Group, where I had a dream of going." But then she finds out that it was not a real invitation card, but a fake copy. After seeing it, she says, "I will definitely go." After this, when she goes to the Hang Group, the guard does not notice that the card is fake. Shou Way is also coming there with his dad. Actually, this company belongs to his dad, but instead of working in his company, he wanted to start his own business. Then he sees Chen Li there. Chen Li is explaining to people very well about the things there. People are also very impressed and wonder, "You know every single detail." Now after they leave, she is secretly making videos of those things, and Shou Way is also making videos from behind to blackmail her. Now Chen Li is shown, who is again sleeping in the class. Seeing this, Shou Way messages her, "Accept my request," but she does not accept his request and goes to sleep again. Now Chen Li is passing through a place but is trying to hide herself. First she wears a cap and then a mask too. Even then Shou Way catches her. He again asks her the reason for not saying goodbye, but she starts telling him a false story. So he shows her the video and says, "Tell me the real reason or else I will show this video to the Hang Group." So she says, No, don't do this. Actually, I have forgotten the real reason. Will you give me time to think?" So he says, "Yes, think at ease. I will also keep this video with me." Saying this, he leaves from there. After this, Chen Li is shown, who is sleeping in the class again. Shou Way messages her, "Go and get water for me." Seeing this message, she starts saying, "Sir, should I go to the washroom?" Hearing this, Sir says, "Yes, go." But look at Shou Way. He never drinks water in the class. Chen Li is getting so angry that this boy is sending me to get water. After this, he is even getting his bicycle repaired by her. And whenever he saw some girls eating something nearby, he used to ask her to bring that thing. Now after this, he started looking at a poster. Then Chen Li says, "Now don't tell me that you are also participating in the campus election." So he says, "Yes, and in this, you will help me." Then he orders, "Whatever I have asked you to eat should reach outside my door in 10 minutes, and leaves. The boys are playing a basketball game, and meanwhile, Chen Li is sneaking around trying to steal Shou Way's phone. She goes to the boys' area, searching for Shou Way's phone, but she can't find it there. Just then, she gets a message from Shou Way that says, "When the game ends, bring me some water." Reading that, Chen Li mutters, "So, he brought his phone with him to the game too." Covering her face, she moves toward where Shou Way's bag is. She takes his phone from the bag and runs off. She tries unlocking the phone several times, and when she finally enters her own birth date, it works. She starts looking through his gallery and finds a video where he is saying, "I'm leaving something for you in this spot in the garden. Come and get it." Just then, Shou Way appears behind her, snatches the phone from her hand and says, "You came here to delete the video, didn't you? But I've already uploaded it to the cloud so you can't delete it." Chen Li then asks him, "Why is your phone password still my birth date?" He replies, "Oh, it's easy to remember. otherwise I'd forget it. At that moment, a girl comes over to give him water, but he refuses. Seeing this, Chen Li suddenly remembers how, back in high school, Shou Way had allergy to mineral water and never take water from anyone but her. He'd always wait until Chen Li handed it to him. Shou Way then asks her, "Do you have something to say to me or not?" With that, he walks away. Chen Li returns to her dorm, and a little later, she receives another message from Shou Way asking her to meet him at a garden at 11. Meanwhile, Shou Way is waiting for Chen Li to arrive. When she does, he tells her to sit down, but she refuses, saying, "No, she brought something to sit." She begins sketching him. As she is sketching, Shou Way can't take his eyes off her. He remembers the time when they were boyfriend and girlfriend, and Chen Li used to sit in front of him like this, drawing his sketch. Then, she noticed something in his hair and goes over to remove it. They were standing very close to each other, and a smile spreads across Shou Wei's face, remembering the moment. Chen Li finishes her sketch, and when she shows it to him, he keeps pointing out mistakes and tells her to redo it. Frustrated, Chen Li says, "What's your problem? I'm not drawing your sketch anymore." She angrily hands him a sketch where he looks like an enemy, visibly furious. Later, she is throwing bits of food into the water when a cat approaches. She tries feeding the cat, but it won't eat. Just then, Shou Way shows up and feeds the cat for her. As Chen Li starts to walk away, Shou Way stops her and says, "I didn't know your drawing was so good, and yeah, I won't ask you for any reasons, and I won't bother you anymore." Hearing this, Chen Li says, "Delete the video you have of me." Shou Way responds, "No, I'll delete it after you finish my poster." Then, he walks away. Chen Li is mad at him, but can't help smiling when she sees how he is looking at her while carrying the cat. She realizes she still has feelings for him, but she holds herself back and returns to her dorm to start working on his poster. She keeps remembering the moment when he looked at her with the cat in his arms. Later in class, Shou Way realizes Chen Li hasn't shown up. He sends her a message asking why you aren't in class, but she doesn't respond. Meanwhile, Chen Li has finished the poster and is standing looking at it. She then goes to submit the poster, and Shou Way, seeing her, smiles. Noticing this, the teacher asks, "Shou Way, what are you doing?" Shou Way replies, "Sir, I finished my paper. I'm leaving now." He hurriedly runs out to see the poster and then rushes to find Chen Li. When he finds her, Chen Li says, "You're smiling a lot today. Why don't you delete my—" But before she can finish, Shou Way changes the subject and sits next to her. Chen Li tries to move a little farther away from him. Then Shou Way asks her, "Do you have something to say to me?" Chen Li replies, "We're just classmates. There's nothing really in common between us." Hearing this, Shou Way angrily walks away. But when Chen Li brings up deleting the video again, he says, "If I win the election, I'll delete the video." Once again, he tricks her and walks away. Meanwhile, Chen Li goes to buy some pads, and the class monitor suddenly shows up. She quickly tries to hide the pads and rushes to leave, but she forgets the pads there. After she leaves, the salesgirl gives the pads to the monitor, telling him to give them to Chen Li. He awkwardly tries to hide them and walks away, but runs into Chen Li's roommate, Shou Miao. He pulls her aside and tries to hand her the pads, but Shou Miao scolds him and walks off. After she leaves, he tosses the pads aside and leaves as well. The next morning, Chen Li is outside the school telling all the girls to vote for Shou Way in the election. She's getting mad, wondering how Shou Way can still be late on such an important day. Just then, Shou Way arrives, dressed in the exact same costume as Chen Li. Seeing him, Chen blurts out, "You look so cute." Just then, Shou Wei's roommates show up and start laughing, saying, "You look so cute." When Chen looks at him angrily, he immediately goes silent. Then, the morning monitor notices a girl in a costume and says, "I heard that your roommate Shou Miao doesn't let anyone touch her hair because she's bald." Hearing this, Shou Miao takes off her headpiece and says, "Now say it to my face." She kicks him and walks away. Now, fewer fans are approaching Shou Way, and the ones who do come say, "We want to take a picture with you." Shou Way is about to refuse, but Chen Li steps in, saying, "Of course, you can take a picture." She then sends Shou Way over to them and starts taking their picture herself. After that, Shou Way starts dancing for the girls, and all of them flock towards him. Watching him dance, Chen Li starts thinking about the past. In a memory, they're playing Truth or Dare, and Shou Way chooses Truth. She asks him, "When did you first start noticing me?" He replies, "The first time I saw you was when I was really young, and you came to the park to save me from being bullied by some boys. When I saw you again at school, I recognized you immediately." But Chen Li doesn't remember any of this. Maybe it was another girl. Remembering this, she promises herself, "I'll never betray you again." Chen Li is looking at the sketch she made and remembering her conversation with Shou Way. She just can't get Shou Way out of her mind. Now she recalls, "I made a poster for him, didn't I? Where could it be?" so she goes off to search for the poster. When she finally finds it, she grabs it and runs off. At one point, she stands with the poster and asks herself, he even deleted my video, so why am I still thinking about him? She then takes it back to her room. Seeing this, Shou Miao says, why did you bring it back again? Chen Li responds, it's my first project, so I brought it back. Shou Miao goes back to looking at her phone, but as soon as she notices Shou Wei's poster staring at her again, she says, look, all night I'm gonna feel like he's just watching me. After hearing this, Chen Li turns the poster's face away from her. Then Chen Li asks, if someone leaves you and when you meet him again, you can't stop thinking about him, what does that mean? Shou Miao replies, it means you like him, and he'll be on your mind wherever you go. Just then, Chen Li gets an email. She finds out that Hung Group has called her for an interview. She's thrilled at first, but when she reads that they want her to bring her designs along, she starts feeling a bit anxious. Later, she is going to get her designs turned into sculptures, but everyone refuses to do her work. Meanwhile, Shou Way is in the city with his manager for a business deal. As they're leaving, Shou Way spots Chen Li. Quickly, he tells his manager, you go on without me. He then starts following her. Chen goes to one last factory to inquire about her pieces, but they also turn her down. Feeling disheartened, she starts to leave. Just then, she finds Shou Way standing in front of her. Her eyes fill with tears when she sees him. He asks, are you hungry? They head off to eat together. At dinner, she drinks a lot and starts showing him her notebook, saying, look, aren't my designs good? Why won't anyone make a sculpture for me? As he looks through her designs, he says, these are so unique. I've never seen anything like this before. Hearing this, Chen Li feels happy. Afterward, Shou Way takes her back to the hotel room. When they get to the room, he lays her down on the bed, but as soon as he does, she pulls him close, making him lean in even more. Just as he's about to kiss her, there's a voice from outside. Are you asleep? At first, Shou Way doesn't respond, but when he tries to kiss her again, the voice repeats, are you awake? Shou Way answers, no, I'm asleep. The next morning, when Chen Li opens her eyes, she sees Shou Way lying next to her. Seeing this, all the memories from the previous night come rushing back. As she gets up to leave, the cleaning lady walks in and says, I thought you two had already left the room. Then she leaves. After the cleaning lady goes, Shou Way pulls Chen back and cuddles up with her. Holding her hand, he falls asleep again. In the next scene, Shou Way takes Chen Li to meet the same person he came to the city for the business deal with. He asks this person to make sculptures based on Chen Li's designs, and the person agrees. Then the two of them leave together. Next morning, Chen Li was late for class, so she started running. At that moment, Shou Way came up from behind on his bicycle and stopped next to her. Both, feeling shy, exchanged a good morning. Suddenly, Chen Li remembered, I'm late for class and you'll be late too. Hurry up and get to class. Shou Way offered, I can give you a ride, hop on. But when she looked back, she noticed there was no seat on his bike. Embarrassed, Shou Way fell silent. After that, Chen Li said, you should go ahead. I'll run and catch up. Shou Way, hearing this, rode off. When Chen Li reached the classroom, she saw the professor scolding a few boys for being late. Just then, Shou Way entered and distracted the professor by asking him a question, gesturing for Chen Li to sneak into class. She hurried in without the professor noticing, and Shou Way followed, saying, yeah, I get it now. He took his seat. After that, Chen Li thanked Shou Way for helping her, but as soon as class ended, two girls started whispering about Chen Li, calling her a thief. Shou Miao says, if you have something to say about her, say it to her face. What's the point of gossiping behind her back? One of the girls responded, you don't know? There's a thief in your dorm room. Shi Hui told us herself. Hearing this, Shou Miao asks to Shi Hui, asking, did you say Chen Li stole something? Shi Hui replied, yes, I did, because she did. Chen Li fell silent, remembering that she had tacked Shi Hui's pads without asking, which must be why she was calling her a thief. The other girls, seeing Chen Li's reaction, said, so, it's true that she really did steal. When Chen Li started to leave, Shou Way stopped her, saying, just tell them you didn't do anything. But Chen Li, pulling her hand away in anger, said, don't keep asking me. She walked off. Back at the dorm, Chen Li apologized to Shi Hui, saying, I'm sorry I took your pads without asking. I was going to return them, but I lost them. Shi Hui, still upset, responded, how am I supposed to believe that? Just then, Shou Miao remembered, oh, the monitor gave me those pads to give back to Chen Li and I returned him back. Realizing this, Shou Miao rushed to the monitor and demanded the pads back. The monitor replied, I threw them away. Shou Miao said, fine, you'll buy me new ones. With your own money. The monitor said, take the money instead. I'm not going to the store for that. However, he eventually bought them and gave them to her. Shu Miao, opening the package, saw that there was an protection inside. Furious, she threw it back at him, saying, "I knew you were this kind of person." The monitor, embarrassed, said, "I didn't put that in there. I don't know how it got there." He quickly pocketed the item and left. Later, after Chen Li returned the pads to Shou Way, Shou Way, feeling guilty, apologized, "I'm sorry for accusing you." And just like that, their friendship was mended. Meanwhile, Shou Way was staring at his phone thinking, if she doesn't apologize for being rude, I won't forgive her. On the other side, Chen Li was struggling with what to message him. Finally, she typed, "I'm sorry," and accidentally added a heart emoji. It went through by mistake. Shou Way, seeing the message, was thrilled. But just then, Chen Li unsent the message, realizing her mistake, which made Shou Way even more upset. In the end, Chen Li sent him an apology video. Shou Way is having a basketball match, and as the game heats up, he notices Chen Li arrives there. His face lights up with happiness at the sight of her. During a break, Chen Li approaches him with a bottle of water, but before she can reach him, a group of girls offers him water. Shou Way refuses to take. After the girls leave, Chen Li walks over and offers her bottle. However, Shou Way doesn't accept it. Confused, Chen Li asks, "I already apologized, so why won't you forgive me?" Shou Way replies, "You know what you did wrong, right?" Chen Li says, "Yes, I know. I yelled at you in front of everyone." Hearing this, Shou Way smiles and walks away, leaving Chen Li puzzled as to why he didn't take the bottle. Later, Chen Li is trying to pick out another water bottle but is visibly confused. Meanwhile, Shou Way is surrounded by more girls, each offering him a bottle of water, but he rejects them all. Suddenly, Chen Li appears from behind, carrying an oversized water bottle, so big that Shou Way struggles to lift it at first. He's baffled, thinking, why did she give me such a huge bottle? She had assumed that he was upset earlier because she gave him a small bottle. After handing it to him, she says, "If you need more, just call me." Shou Way is thrilled, and as Chen Li walks away, he can't hide his joy. The other girls, seeing the massive bottle, ask, "Do you still need a water bottle?" Shou Way holds up the giant bottle and replies, "Do you think so?" The girls leave, defeated. Later, we see the boys comparing their water bottles to see who received the most. Shou Way, of course, wins because his bottle is the largest. He brings it back to his room, placing it in front of him and admiring it fondly. Meanwhile, in class, Chen Li notices that Shou Way hasn't shown up. Concerned, she asks his roommate Xiao, "What happened to him?" Xiao replies, "He's sick. He's just sitting there hugging that water bottle. He won't let me or anyone else touch it. I don't know what kind of fever he's got." Chen Li falls silent for a moment, then Xiao adds, "You seem to be taking a lot of interest in Shou Way all of a sudden." Chen Li quickly responds, "I was just asking." Meanwhile, Shou Way is in a meeting with an elegant lady to discuss an investment opportunity. She asks him, "Why should I invest with you? Why not just talk to your dad?" Shou Way, looking serious, explains, "My relationship with my dad isn't the kind where I can just ask him for favors." The lady probes further, "Then what's our relationship?" Shou Way responds, "I've told you before you treat me better than my mom ever did. You're special to me." Moved by his words, she agrees, "All right, I'll invest with you." Shou Way is overjoyed and says, "Congratulations, we're partners now." As he leaves, a waiter approaches the woman, noticing her great appearance, and asks, "Was that your younger brother?" She replies, "No, that was my son." Feeling proud, she heads home. The scene shifts to a basketball match, and on the other side, Shu Miao and Chen Li have participated in the cheerleading dance. Just then, some girls come to call her, saying, "Hurry up!" Chen Li quickly heads off to get ready, but her zip is stuck. When she finally comes out, she sees Shou Way approaching. Shou Way asks, "What happened?" She explains about her zip, and he helps her with it. Since they're quite close, Shou Way says, "After the match, meet me under the tree." Chen Li agrees and heads off for her dance. As she goes to dance, Shou Way smiles, and then she starts dancing with other girls, giving a fantastic performance. After their performance, the match starts again. Every time Shou Way scores a goal, Chen Li is the most excited one. Xiao notices her happiness but doesn't understand why she's so thrilled. After winning the match, Shou Way leaves, and Chen Li watches him go because she wants to talk to him. She then rushes after him to catch up. Later, Chen Li is waiting for Shou Way. When Xiao arrives and asks, "Why are you waiting here?" she tells him, "For Shou Way." He responds, "Shou Way left with a girl." Hearing this, Chen Li rushes off to find him, realizing he really is with a girl. Chen Li leaves in anger. Then, Chen Li picks up the poster of Shou Way and takes it outside, placing it down. She stands there thinking, "Why did I come to drop him off?" Next, we see her carrying a parcel. Just then, Shou Way shows up saying, "Your parcel arrived, the one you mentioned for the pieces." She replies, "Yeah." He starts to open it, but she stops him saying, "I'll handle it." After that, she leaves, but he starts following her. When Chen Li gets to class, her test doesn't go well, and the teacher scolds her. By the end of the class, only Chen Li and Shou Way are left. Shou Way approaches Chen Li and tries to tell her what to study for the test, but she's not really engaged. She replies, "I'll do it my way." Saying that, she walks away. While Chen Li is sitting and eating, Shou Way comes up and hands her some important notes, saying, "Read these." After he leaves, Chen Li gives them to Xiao, saying, "Make sure to return these to him." Xiao is happy to get the great notes. In class, the teacher is telling all the students their marks and Chen Li gets last position. When Shou Way hears this, he's totally shocked. Just then, Xiao starts returning his notes, saying, "These notes helped me a lot." Shou Way asks, "Who gave you these notes?" Xiao replies, "Chen told me to return them, but I gave them back after I studied them." This makes Shou Way so angry that he slams the notes on the table. All the students turn to look at him. As class ends, Shou Way approaches Chen Li, but she completely ignores him and starts to walk away. Shou Way is confused, thinking, "Why is she upset with me?" After this, when Shou Way returns to his room, Xiao asks him, "Who's that girl you were with? Is she your girlfriend?" Shou Way replies, "Girlfriend? No, it's nothing like that." Xiao says, "Yeah, the whole class knows that." Now, Shou Way understands why she's upset. All the friends gather to sing, and then suddenly Shou Way comes in. Then, he pushes Xiao aside and sits between Chen and the others. As Chen tries to leave, he grabs her and pulls her back to sit next to him, asking, "What's wrong? Are you upset with me?" Now everyone starts singing step by step, and when it's Shou Way's turn, Chen Li doesn't give him the mic, but Shou Way takes the mic himself and starts singing a song that's about not having a girlfriend. After having so much fun, Chen Li and Shou Way walk together. Chen Li is really happy. Shou Way asks, "Why are you so happy?" She replies, "I got extra food at the cafe." Now Chen Li asks him, "So that girl you were with the other day, was she your girlfriend?" Shou Way responds, "Are you getting jealous that she's my girlfriend?" Chen says, "Why would I be?" Shou Way tells her, "She's not my girlfriend, she's a family member." Hearing this, Chen Li imagines that she must be his sister. Shou Way then asks her, "Now that everything's cleared up, can we be together?" Chen Li responds, "Yeah, I have no issue with that." She then takes his hand and says, "Why are your hands so cold?" He holds her hand and starts to walk with her, asking, "When did you start liking me?" Chen Li explains, "I started liking you again when I drew your sketch." She also mentions, "I even brought your poster to my room so I could see you every night." Shou Way asks, "Really? Give me that poster now. It's a symbol of our love." Hearing this, Chen Li goes quiet because she had thrown it away and then says, "Okay, I'll give it to you." They continue talking as they walk together. The next day, she goes for an interview at Hung Group, where she presents her work. The interviewers like her work, but as soon as they read her resume, they say, "We only hire designers, so we can't hire you." After being rejected, Chen Li sits down. At the same time, a person named Yo approaches her. He looks at her designs and comments, "This is really good." He then asks her a few questions. After 3 questions, he tells her, "You've been accepted." With that, he gives his card to her and leaves. Chen Li's parents are worried about her. They're like, "Why has she started studying so much?" She sits down to study from morning till night while she used to do nothing but sleep. Just then, Chen comes out of her room and tells her parents, "Turn off the TV, let me study." After saying this, she leaves and her mom comments, "We should definitely send her away from here." Thinking about it, they start to push her out of the house, saying, "You should go outside and take a walk." They push her out of the house. Chen is now outside but doesn't know what to do. Just then, she remembers Shou Way's video where he said he had hidden a box under a tree for her, and she rushes to that spot. She digs around 2 or 3 trees and finds the box. When she opens it, there's a picture inside with a note on the back that says, "We will always celebrate our anniversary together." Seeing this, she writes, "Okay" in front of it and puts it back in the dirt just like before. After doing all this, she goes back to Shou Way and sees that he is working at a construction site. She realizes that Shou Way is actually quite poor. Thinking about all this, she starts to cry. Shou Way notices her and approaches. She hands him some money before she walks away. After receiving the money, Shou Way is quite happy. He even tells his manager, "My girlfriend just gave me some money. Maybe she understands that I'm low on cash." His manager replies, "Didn't you tell her you're rich?" Shou Way says, "If she cares about me, what's the big deal?" When Chen gets back to her room, her friends call her for a group chat. They start talking about a novel, sharing the story about a boy who pretended to be rich but turned out to be poor. Hearing this, she starts imagining how Shou Way must feel when he gets scolded for not working properly. She even imagines herself showing up when he gets fired. She says, "What do you mean you're firing him? I'm taking him with me. I'll pay him myself." She then imagines another scene. What if Shou Way returns her money and says, "I didn't expect this from you. I don't want that at all." Meanwhile, Shou Way is shown using the money Chen Li gave him. On the other side, Chen Li is in class during attendance. When Shou Way's name is called, she says, "He went to the washroom." The teacher responds, "He took leave from me." The other students start laughing at Chen Li, and she insists, "I must have misunderstood." Later, she is thinking, "I hope he doesn't feel bad about the money I gave him. I should send him a message." Just then, Shou Way walks in, and she starts asking him about the money she gave him. He responds, "Did you give me money to take back?" He pulls out the money from his pocket, but now he has only coins. Seeing this, Chen Li becomes even more certain that he is truly poor. She then says, "You can keep it if you don't have any money." Saying this, she runs away, leaving Shou Way confused about what just happened. In the next scene, Chen Li dresses up as a boy and sneaks into Shou Way's dorm. Once outside Shou Way's room, she finds his keys because she knew exactly where he hid them. As soon as she steps into the room, she's hit with a strong smell. Seeing the mess, she quickly starts cleaning and tidies everything up thoroughly. After finishing, she quietly leaves. After she's gone, the class monitor and Xiao return to the room. They walk in and exclaim, "Wow, how is our room so clean?" They assume that some fangirl of Shou Way must have cleaned it. The next day, Chen Li sneaks in again to clean their room. Once again, she leaves right after finishing, but this time the three boys walk in soon after and are shocked to find their room spotless. Shou Way finds a slipper, holding it up, and asks, "How do I look?" By now, Shou Way had figured out that the fangirl cleaning the room was none other than Chen Li. Later in class, Chen Li is visibly exhausted. Seeing her, Shu Miao asks, "Why are you so tired these days?" Chen Li doesn't say anything, but then Shou Way enters the classroom wearing those same slippers. All the students start murmuring, "How can he wear slippers to class?" Shou Way sits down, and his roommates tell everyone, "Some girl left those slippers for Shou Way because she's a huge fan of his." Shou Way starts showing off the slippers in front of everyone, but Chen Li ignores him. Just then, the teacher walks in and notices Shou Way stretching out his leg. The teacher asks, "What's wrong with your leg?" Shou Way quickly retracts his foot, but the slippers are left behind. Chen Li tosses them aside. Later, in his shop, Shou Way is still staring at those slippers. His manager asks, "Did your girlfriend give you those slippers?" Shou Way replies, "Yes, we've been dating, but she hasn't told anyone yet. I want the whole school to know, so I've decided to make our relationship official." After that, he looks at the slippers, beaming with joy. Meanwhile, Chen Li sneaks back into Shou Way's room to clean again. But just then, the management team arrives to inspect all the rooms. Hearing them approach, she quickly slips out of the window, but as she does, the students outside spot her. Soon, the management staff joins the crowd. The students begin teasing her, asking, "Who are you confessing your love to?" The teacher also says, "If you don't come down now, we'll punish both you and the boy you're here for." The students start shouting, "Who is it?" Under pressure, Chen Li blurts out, "It's Xiao." Xiao is stunned while Shou Way stares at him. Chen Li finally climbs down but stands next to Xiao instead of Shou Way. The inspecting teacher warns them, "Don't pull any more stunts like this, or I'll punish you both later." With that, he leaves. Xiao pulls Chen Li aside and asks, "Why did you tell everyone you were here to confess to me when you were really here for Shou Way?" But Chen Li just teases him about his short height, making him walk away in frustration. After this, Chen Li gets a fever. Her friends ask her, "We can't believe you're dating Xiao. Couldn't you find someone better?" Chen Li tells them, "Actually, Shou Way and I are dating. We even dated back in high school." Just then, Shou Way makes an announcement from outside. "Meet me here in 5 seconds." He starts a countdown, and hearing this, Chen Li rushes out. When she gets to Shou Way, she asks, "Why did you call me out here?" He replies, "So that everyone knows you're my girlfriend and that we're dating." But Chen Li isn't ready for that. Shou Way hands her his jacket and says, "You have 2 options. Either wear this jacket and run 5 laps around the ground with me, or run 10 laps on your own." He starts walking away, and Chen Li runs after him, grabbing his hand. Seeing this, Shou Way smiles. As they walk ahead, they spot Xiao sitting nearby. Chen Li quickly lets go of Shou Way's hand, but he grabs her hand, showing Xiao, "She's my girlfriend now." Xiao then says, "Clear up my image and tell everyone you're not my girlfriend." Shou Way responds, "Alright, let's take a picture together and upload it. Then everyone will know we're in a relationship." He begins snapping pictures of the two of them. In the next scene, Shou Wei's stepmom comes to pick him up, but she says, "You'll only get in the car if you wear this suit." So, Shou Way puts on the suit she gave him and goes with her. Xiao sees him and secretly takes pictures of him. Xiao follows him everywhere and sees Shou Way taking money from his stepmom. After she hands him the money, she also gives him her purse, and Xiao captures that in a picture too. The next day in class, Xiao calls Chen Li and shows her all the pictures of Shou Way, but Chen Li says, "He told me she's his sister." Xiao responds, "That's not true. He's really poor, and that's why he spends time with this rich girl so he can get money and spend time with you." Chen Li warns him, "If that's the case, don't tell anyone else." Just then, Shou Way walks in, and Chen Li sits with him to study, without saying a word about what she knows. Now all the girls in the dorm have found out that Shou Way is actually really poor, though he always pretended to be rich. Chen Li also reads the news that Shou Way spends time with a rich girl to make money. Later, when Chen Li is eating with her friends, she overhears some people talking about how poor Shou Way is. After listening to their comments, Chen Li stands up and says, "So what if he's poor? At least he earns his own money and doesn't take it from his parents like you guys do." Everyone turns to look at her. At that moment, Shu Miao jokingly says, "Okay, you made a good point, but can you give me back my chopsticks now?" In the next scene, while Chen Li and Shou Way are in class, she asks him, "Will you go on a date with me tomorrow?" Hearing this, Xiao teases, "Do you even have enough money for the date?" Chen Li quickly replies, "I'll pay for everything." Meanwhile, Shu Miao sits next to the class monitor, but her hair falls onto his hand. He accidentally touches her hair and remembers that Shu Miao hates when anyone touches her hair. Shu Miao notices him holding her hair and punches him in the face, but then calmly sits down to study with him. The next morning, everyone in class hears about a new post Xiao made. In it, he admits, "Shou Way is actually really rich. I just made up that fake news to gain more followers." In the next scene, Xiao and Shou Way are standing face to face. Shou Way asks him, "Why did you do this to me?" Xiao replies, "I didn't know my post would blow up like this. I only posted it to get more followers." Hearing this, Shou Way walks away. The next day, everyone is in class, and when the teacher asks Chen Li a question, Shou Way answers it for her. Not once, but 2 or 3 times. The teacher finally says, "I asked Chen Li, not you," but Shou Way continues answering the questions anyway. In the next scene, Shu Miao is sitting beside Chen Li. Chen Li asks, "Did I say yes to him too quickly?" Shu Miao responds, "You shouldn't have said yes so quickly. You should have ignored him because guys don't like girls who say yes too soon." Hearing this, Chen Li thinks to herself that she should ignore Shou Way too, as she starts imagining how Shou Way might leave her and how she would beg him to stay, but he wouldn't listen to her. So, when Shou Way comes over to grab a water bottle, she ignores him and walks away. Shou Way, confused by her behavior, wonders why she did that. She keeps ignoring him everywhere. Meanwhile, Shou Way watches another couple and wishes that Chen Li would feed him the way the girl is feeding her boyfriend. But Chen Li doesn't do anything like that, leaving Shou Way's mouth wide open, while Chen Li walks away feeling proud of herself for playing hard to get. When Shou Way texts her later, Chen Li doesn't reply. This leaves Shou Way anxious, so he asks the class monitor, "What does it mean if a girl starts ignoring you?" The class monitor replies, "It only means one thing. She's found someone else." Hearing this, Shou Way gets really scared. Later, when Chen Li goes to the office, the director scolds her for not doing her job properly, which puts her in a bad mood. Just then, Shou Way arrives to pick her up. She gets into his car but doesn't talk to him. Shou Way starts asking many questions to her, to which Chen Li angrily responds, "Can you be quiet for just 1 minute? I'm not in the mood today." At that moment, their car gets hit by a taxi and Chen Li starts crying. Shou Way tries to comfort her and asks, "Why are you crying?" Chen Li explains, "The director yelled at me today because of my work, even though I worked really hard on it. He ruined my mood, and on top of that, you didn't care about how I was feeling. You just kept questioning me." Shou Way says, "Sorry, I didn't know you were upset." Chen Li then admits, "I was ignoring you because I was listening to Shu Miao's advice, but I realize now that I shouldn't have done that." After saying this, she gives him a kiss on the cheek. Just then, the taxi driver comes over to apologize and says, "I'll compensate you for the damage to your car." But Shou Way responds, "It's all right. Besides, this car belongs to my dad anyway." In the next scene, Shou Wei's stepmom brings him food at the office. Seeing all the food, he invites Chen Li and his manager to join him. Chen Li praises the food a lot, even though it was actually terrible. After that, Shou Wei's stepmom starts telling her about her love story. When Shou Wei calls her mom, Chen Li, shocked, says, "Mom?" To this, The stepmom explains, "I'm not his biological mom." Shou Way responds, "So what if you're not my biological mom? I've accepted you as my mom from the heart." After that, Shou Way goes to drop Chen Li off at her dorm. As she's about to go inside, he stops her and asks, "Can we talk for a bit?" Hearing this, Chen Li stops. Shou Way is about to kiss her, but just then, the dorm supervisor shows up and says, "Time's up! Hurry inside." As Chen Li is about to go in, Shou Way stops her again and tries to kiss her again, but this time, Chen Li's roommate shows up and takes her inside. Once inside the dorm, her roommate asks, "Did I ruin your plan?" Hearing their conversation, Shu Miao asks, "Wait, have you two not kissed yet?" Chen Li replies, "No, not yet." Shu Miao says, "A kiss is important in love. It makes the bond stronger." Hearing this, Chen Li imagines a scene where Shou Way is unbuttoning his shirt and walking toward her, and she starts feeling very nervous. Thinking about this, Chen Li says to herself, "I don't want anything like that." In the next scene, the two of them go to watch a horror movie together. Shou Way was hoping that Chen Li would get scared and hug him, but she wasn't scared at all. Seeing this, Shou Way pretends to be scared and moves closer to her. Chen Li thinks he's genuinely scared, so she comforts him. At that moment, Shou Way puts popcorn in her mouth and kisses her. This was their first kiss. In the following scene, Shu Miao is with her friends. She raises her hand and food from the monitor's plate accidentally falls on her hair. Shu Miao loves her hair and doesn't let anyone touch it. Her friends quickly take her to wash her hair, and seeing this, the monitor gets scared, thinking Shu Miao will never forgive him now. Meanwhile, Chen Li and Shou Way are riding bicycles together when Chen Li comments, "You're so tall." After saying that, she tries to leave, but Shou Way pulls her towards him and lifts her up, kissing her. The next morning at his company, Shou Way is completely distracted during the meeting, lost in thoughts about Chen Li. Later, when he's back at his dorm, he gets a phone call. He asks the caller, "Who are you?" A girl replies, "I'm Jiang. You used to call me Princess. We met at a playground when we were kids. After that, I tried finding you in high school, but I learned from a girl named Chen that you transferred to another school. It took me a long time to find your number and call you." Hearing this, Shou Way asks, "Where are you?" Jiang replies, "I'm standing outside your dorm." Surprised, Shou Way rushes to meet her and then takes her aside. In the next scene, Shou Way is sitting in class with Chen Li. When Chen shows him her drawing, Shou Way ignores it and walks away. Then Xiao comes to look at her drawing. Chen doesn't show it to him because it was a drawing of their kissing scene. Later, Chen Li is waiting for Shou Way outside his dorm. When Shou Way finally arrives, Chen asks, "Why are you so late today? Did you have extra work?" Shou Way replies, "Yeah." Then Chen gives him food and hugs him. In the next scene, they're walking together when Shou Way gets a message. After reading it, he says, "I have something to take care of." Meanwhile, Jiang is secretly watching them from a distance. Later, both Shou Way and Chen Li go out for dinner. Chen receives a message from Jiang and thinks to herself, "Is this girl back again?" She remembers an A flashback, showing Jiang entering Shou Way's classroom, leaving something in his notebook on his desk, and telling Chen Li, "Don't tell Shou Way that I was here. I want to surprise him." Then she leaves. After this memory, Chen Li realizes that Jiang is the girl Shou Way used to talk about, and it becomes clear that Shou Way mistakenly thought Chen Li was Jiang, which is how they ended up in a relationship. Then Chen Li goes to her parents and asks them to transfer her school. In the next scene, Chen Li is walking towards the bathroom when she notices a girl following her. Panicked, she runs into the boys' washroom to hide. When she comes out, the girl tells her, "I was just trying to return your student ID card. I found it on the ground." Just then, a boy walks up and asks Chen Li, "Why did you go into the boys' washroom?" Chen Li replies, "I didn't saw anything like that." The boy then asks, "Do you have a boyfriend?" Chen Li says, "Yes, and he's very tall and handsome." The boy doesn't believe her, but just then, Shou Way shows up, and Chen Li leaves with him. In the next scene, Shou Way is getting a drink when some students gossip that Chen Li dumped Shou Way because his kissing skills are terrible. Hearing this, Shou Way gets really angry. Meanwhile, when Chen Li goes to eat, all the students are staring at her. She walks over to Xiao and asks, "Did you spread rumors about me again?" Shou Way replies, "No, but isn't it true that Shou Way is bad at kissing?" Chen Li asks, "Who said that?" Shu Miao asks, "Is his kissing skills really that bad?" Chen Li nervously says, "No." Just then, the class monitor shows up, sees Shu Miao, and runs away in fear. In the next scene, the monitor is at a convenience store buying something when Shu Miao shows up and pays for his items. As they leave together, the monitor says, I didn't mean to cause any trouble that day. I'll even bring you some shampoo to make up for it. Please forgive me. Shou Miao is about to say something, causing the monitor to get scared again, but she forgives him and leaves, the monitor feeling relieved and happy. Now, the monitor had fallen in love with Shou Miao, so he asks his roommate what kind of guys Shou Miao does like. His roommate Xiao tells him she reads a lot of novels, so she probably likes guys who are like the male leads. Hearing this, the monitor heads to the library, where Shou Miao is also present. He tries to approach her heroically, but when she smiles, he realizes that the girl in front of him isn't Shou Miao, but someone else. Just then, Shou Miao notices him, gives him a good luck, and walks away. Later, the monitor goes to the basketball court, and seeing Shou Miao, he throws a ball at her, pretending to be a rude male lead. In return, Shou Miao throws the ball on him, hitting him on the head. Later, when Shou Miao is on a call with someone, the monitor comes up to her and sprays something in front of her. Watching this, Shou Miao tells her friend, I don't know what's happened to the monitor today. When he shows up in class, Chen Li says to Shou Miao, he looks so cute today. Shou Way also comes over and sits next to her. Chen Li asks, where were you last night? Shou Way replies, I had some work to do, so I couldn't come. Just then, a photo of a park falls out of Shou Way's book. Seeing it, Chen Li assumes that he was with Ji Yang, and she feels sad. The next day, during a test, Chen Li notices that Shou Way hasn't shown up yet. She sends him a message, but the teacher asks her to put the phone away. During the test, a girl is bringing cheating sheet. Xiao asks her, can you share the cheat sheet with me? The girl tosses it toward him, but it lands a bit too far. Shou Way asks Shou Miao to pick it up for him, but the teacher catches her in the act. To protect her, the monitor steps in and says, I was the one who brought the cheat sheet. After that, Shou Way finally arrives to take his test. When the exam ends, Shou Miao asks the teacher, where is the monitor? The teacher replies, he's been disqualified from the final exam for cheating. Hearing this, Shou Miao feels sad. Meanwhile, we see Shou Way with the girl, Jiang. He tells her, I went to see the sunrise with you, watched a movie, and completed 3 of your wishes. Jiang responds, don't you enjoy spending time with me? Shou Way explains, I just want to say goodbye properly. Jiang then says, I have one last wish. Can you bring me a banana milkshake? Hearing this, Shou Way heads out to get it. While he's gone, Chen Li calls Shou Way and Jiang answers it. She tells her, he's out getting me a banana milkshake. I'll tell him to call you when he gets back. Hearing Jiang's voice, Chen Li is heartbroken. In the next scene, Chen Li is at her dorm. All her roommates have left for home for vacations, but she's still waiting for a message from Shou Way, who was supposed to pick her up. Finally, she gets a message from Shou Way, I'm waiting for you downstairs. She grabs her luggage and goes down. As they walk, Chen Li says to Shou Way, so, you've been hanging out with Jiang all this time and telling me you were busy with work? Shou Way replies, yes. Hearing this, Chen Li says, I want to break up with you. She starts to walk away, but Shou Way grabs her and says, if you break up with me now, I won't come back. You'll regret it. Chen Li replies, I won't regret anything, and storms off. After that, Chen Li goes home and starts crying. Just then, she gets a message from her friend saying, let's go out for drinks. She meets her friend at a club where Shou Miao tells her, lately, the monitor has been ignoring me. He used to care so much about me. Chen Li then shares with her friends, Shou Way and I broke up. Her friend asks, why did it happen? Chen Li replies, his first love came back, and now he's been going out with her, watching movies, and having fun. On the other hand, Shou Way is sitting in his shop and notices that Chen Li has even deleted him from WeChat. This makes Shou Way very angry. The next day, when Chen Li arrives at the company, Shou Way's manager asks her, did you and Shou Way have a fight? He seemed really angry. If you send him a message, he'll probably calm down. Chen Li replies, I've already deleted him from WeChat. The manager then says, well, your school is about to reopen soon. Maybe you should just talk to him face to face. In the next scene, the manager advises Shou Way, you should meet Chen Li at least once. But Shou Way responds, why should I meet her? When I was trying to explain things, she didn't listen to a word I said, and now she's even deleted me from WeChat. Saying this, he walks away. Then, school finally reopens, and the monitor is waiting for Shou Miao. A girl asks him, can you help me with my luggage? The monitor replies, no, I'm waiting for someone. Just then, Shou Miao arrives, and seeing her, the monitor grabs another girl's bag. Shou Miao gets really mad, throws her own luggage at him and says, my luggage is even heavier than hers. The monitor then picks up her luggage and walks away. Later, Chen Li is in her dorm when a girl comes in and says, Shou Way is waiting for you downstairs. When Chen Li goes down, she realizes that Shou Way had only come to drop off her luggage and leaves without saying a word. The scene shifts to the classroom, where Shou Way doesn't sit next to Chen Li. Just then, Jiang arrives. and Shou Way says, "Let's go talk outside." Once outside, Shou Way tells her, "Didn't I ask you not to come here?" Jiang replies, "I've transferred to this school. My parents didn't let me go to America, so I'll be completing my graduation here." Shou Way then says, "Chen Li is my girlfriend now, so you don't need to come between us." He walks away after saying this. In the next scene, Shou Way goes to Chen Li and says, "Don't break up with me, just add me back on WeChat." But Chen Li responds, "We've already broken up, so please keep your distance." Hearing this, Shou Way angrily replies, "Fine, I'll keep my distance." Later, when Chen Li reaches the company, the director is very upset with her because he didn't like her work. As a result, he fires her from the company. Feeling sad, Chen Li leaves the company. On her way out, her belongings fall from her hands, and a boy from her school comes to help her. He introduces himself as Meng. After looking at her designs, he says, "Your work is really good." Chen Li responds, "All right, then you can keep them." Meanwhile, Shou Way is looking for Chen Li. He spots her sitting somewhere, but at that moment, Meng walks up to Chen Li and gives her an ice cream. Seeing this, Shou Way feels jealous. He's about to leave, but Chen Li notices him. However, Shou Way walks away without saying anything. In the next scene, when Chen Li sees Shou Way on the road, she takes a U-turn to avoid him. Later, during class, when Shou Way is asking a question to teacher and Chen Li arrives late, Shou Way moves his book to the side so the teacher can notice Chen Li coming in. This makes Chen Li very angry at Shou Way. In the following scene, Shu Miao goes to the library, all dressed up to impress the monitor, but he doesn't notice her at all. She walks in front of him again, but he still doesn't see her. Finally, Shu Miao coughs lightly, and the monitor looks up and says, "You can sit here." Shu Miao tries to talk to him, but the monitor hushes her. Shu Miao stays quiet but is very happy. When the monitor is about to drink water, Shu Miao says, "I'll fill the bottle for you." However, when she returns with the water, she finds that the monitor has left, but he was watching her from a corner and smiling. In the next scene, Shou Wei's basketball game is happening, and another cheerleading team shows up, which includes Jiang. Seeing this makes Chen Li feel jealous, so she brings her own cheerleading team to the game. Shou Wei's team ends up winning the match, and seeing this makes Chen Li very happy. But as soon as she looks at Shou Wei, her smile fades while Shou Wei is smiling at her. In the final scene, as Chen Li is leaving, Jiang comes up to her and says, "You broke up with Shou Wei because you couldn't stand seeing me with him." Chen Li responds, "I'm sure that even if I hadn't come into his life, you still wouldn't be his girlfriend." Saying this, Chen Li walks away. In the next scene, Chen Li is carrying some boxes when Meng comes over to help her. Chen Li says, "I can do it myself," trying to avoid misunderstandings from Shou Wei. However, Shou Wei walks away without even looking at her. In the following scene, Meng brings milk tea for Chen Li in class and also gives it to all her friends. Seeing this, Shou Wei gets really angry and makes a plan with Xiao. He tells Xiao, "Whatever Meng gives them, you bring the same thing and give it to them." Xiao then goes and gives them milk tea, saying, "The one Ming gave you is expired." Later, when Ming brings them food in the cafe, Xiao also shows up with food for everyone. Shu Miao says, "Xiao, are you trying to make me fat?" Chen Li glares at Xiao, so Xiao reveals the truth, saying, "This is all Shou Wei's doing." When Shou Wei finds out, he angrily tells Xiao, "Why did you tell them the truth?" Xiao replies, "I told you before, your plan is so bad that the truth would come out on its own." In the next scene, Shou Wei is secretly watching Chen Li and then sits next to her. Chen Li says, "Couldn't you find another seat?" Shou Wei responds, "This is a public seat. I can sit wherever I want." Just then Meng comes over and says, "That's my seat." Shou Wei replies, "I got here first, so now it's mine." Meng then says, "Didn't you two break up?" Shou Wei says, "No, we didn't. We just had a little fight." Hearing this, Chen Li gets up and leaves, and Shou Wei follows her. Chen Li asks, "Why are you following me?" Shou Wei responds, "If you don't come back to me, you'll fail this exam too because your mind isn't on your studies." Chen Li steps on his foot and walks away. In the next scene, Chen Li's parents visit the school. All of Chen Li's friends are sitting with her parents having lunch. Shou Wei asks her parents, "Do you support your daughter in love?" Her mom replies, "Yes, but she's never had a boyfriend. Can you help find her a good one?" Shou Wei responds, "Yes, I'll find a good boyfriend for her." Just then, Jiang walks up to Shou Wei, and he takes her outside to talk. Shou Wei says, "I told you to stay away from me because you make my girlfriend jealous." At that moment, Chen Li and her friends come outside, and Jiang quickly hugs Shou Wei when she sees them. Chen Li leaves after seeing this. Later, as Chen Li is walking, Meng approaches her and gives her a gift, saying, "I love you." Chen Li responds, "Sorry, I don't want to date right now." At that moment, Shou Way shows up and calls out to Chen Li, but she runs away. The next day, Xu Miao is handing out flyers to her classmates for her drama club and says, "Everyone, come watch my drama." The monitor replies, "Yeah, I'll come." Later, a lot of people come to watch Xu Miao's drama, but they all get bored with the story. All Xu Miao did was act as a dead body, but still, the monitor starts clapping for her. Seeing this, all the other students start looking at him. Just then, a man arrives with flowers and asks, "Who is Xu Miao?" Her friends tell him, "She's on stage acting right now." The man gives them the flowers and leaves. Afterward, Shou Way calls Chen to meet and says, "Xu Miao likes a guy, and he's a playboy." Shocked, Chen asks, "What? That guy is a playboy?" Chen continues, "And now he's going to confess his love to Xu Miao." She leaves quickly. Shou Way tries to say, "Wait, I haven't finished talking yet." Chen rushes to tell her friends that in the novel, the monitor is going to confess his love to Xu Miao. It turns out she was talking about a novel that the monitor himself wrote. After hearing this, Xu Miao starts thinking, so everything that happened between us was already planned, just so he could write it in his novel. So he was using me for his novel. On the other side, the monitor is actually preparing to confess his real feelings for her. Just then, Xu Miao calls him and says, "You were using me for your novel. You were going to confess your love just for that. Well, I'm not coming." And with that, she hangs up the call, leaves, and starts crying. In the next scene, the monitor is sitting alone because Xu Miao has blocked him. Shou Way comes up to him and says, "I'm sorry, this all went wrong because of me." The monitor replies, "It's okay. I should have told her everything from the start." In the next scene, Shou Way stands in front of the AC after showering and thinks, "I hope I catch a cold so Chen Li will worry about me." Meanwhile, Xu Miao is with her friends when the monitor approaches and says, "I want to explain everything to you." But Xu Miao responds, "I don't want to hear anything from you." The monitor then says, "Fine, I won't bother you anymore." At the same time, Chen Li is eating with her friends, and Shou Way is watching her from a distance. Chen Li folds her hands as if praying and says, "Please let this bad luck in front of me go away." Shou Way continues to watch her. Later, in class, Shou Way starts coughing heavily. Concerned, Chen Li messages him saying, "I need to meet with you." When they meet, she asks, "Are you sick?" Shou Way replies, "Yes, a little." Then she says, "Please stop following me," hands him some medicine, and leaves. Shou Way feels very happy about this. Meanwhile, Xu Miao sees a post from the monitor saying, "Due to personal reasons, I won't be able to continue writing my novel." Xu Miao comments, "See, without me, he can't even continue his novel." Later, some students ask the monitor, "When will you update the novel?" The monitor replies, "Maybe never." As he walks away, he accidentally bumps into a tree. Just then, Xu Miao shows up and says, "I'm ordering you to continue writing your novel, or else I won't leave you alone." The monitor asks, "If I write it, will you read it?" Xu Miao responds, "I'll think about it." Later, when Xu Miao is with Chen Li, she sees the monitor nearby. Noticing this, Chen Li leaves them alone. Xu Miao then goes and sits beside the monitor and asks, "Do you have something to say to me?" The monitor replies, "Yes, but not right now." As Xu Miao starts to leave, the monitor blurts out, "I like you." Hearing this, Xu Miao kisses him on the cheek. The monitor then kisses her back, and the two of them enter into a relationship. In the next scene, Shou Way is at his new company, assigning a lot of work to his employees. 3 of them resign right in front of him and walk out. Shou Way doesn't even try to stop them. In the next scene, Shou Way is walking with Chen Li, telling her about his company's condition. He says, "We didn't make any profit. We're actually losing money. Even my employees have left me." Chen Li responds, "If you feel like you made a mistake, you should apologize to them. Once you apologize, they'll come back." Shou Way agrees with her. Then, Shou Way calls all his employees together and apologizing to them. "I was wrong to treat you guys the way I did. From now on, I won't overload you with work." Everyone forgives Shou Way because of his sincere apology, and they agree to stay with the company thinking, "Together, we'll take this company to new heights." Meanwhile, Chen Li starts getting calls from several companies inviting her for interviews. She's saying yes to all of them when Xu Miao finally points out, "You've already said yes to 7 companies for interviews all on the same day. How are you going to decide where to go?" In another scene, Shou Way is at his company, looking for designers. The manager tells him, "You've chosen famous designers that we can't afford." Just then, Chen Li walks in and hands over her resume asking, "Can I join here?" The manager looks at Chen Li and says, "Can she really do it?" But Shou Way steps in. "Of course, Chen Li can do it." Shou Way then takes her to meet the rest of the employees. Chen Li introduces herself, but the employees don't greet her. The manager gives them a subtle signal, and suddenly they realize she's Shou Way's girlfriend and start greeting her with "Hi" and "Hello." Chen Li gives a presentation, and everyone loves her ideas. Later, they all sit together, eating the food Shou Way brought, but he had a special meal just for Chen Li, who is feeding Shou Way. The employees start whispering, "She's going to be our future boss." Afterward, Shou Way takes Chen Li to the library because she had stopped studying and was only focused on the company, even though exams were just a week away. Shou Way sits her down, saying, "I'm going to help you study," but Chen Li tries to run away, saying, "I thought you brought me here for a date, but you're here to make me study." Shou Way says, "If you don't study and don't graduate from college, what will people say? That you're a designer without a degree?" Hearing this, Chen Li agrees to study. Meanwhile, Shu Miao is with the monitor who's telling her a story. Chen Li reacts to every part of the story, and at one point, when the monitor comes closer, she dislikes a particular scene and says, "Delete that scene." One by one, she makes him delete all the parts she doesn't like. As Shou Way is teaching Chen Li, she keeps talking non-stop, so Shou Way moves closer to her and says, "You're talking way too much." Chen Li immediately quiets down, saying, "I won't talk anymore." Shu Miao continues acting with the monitor, hoping he'll remember something good to add to the story. Finally, a dialogue clicks with her, but the monitor says, "I don't feel like writing anything." Meanwhile, Shu Miao brings him water, but she splashes it on his face and orders, "Write." Scared of her, the monitor sits down to write as she continues feeding him. When she offers him the water again, he moves to the side, thinking she'll splash it again, but she was just trying to give him a drink. In the next scene, Chen Li is working so hard at Shou Way's company that she falls asleep at her desk. Shou Way comes over, sees her sleeping, and gently puts a blanket over her. He's about to kiss her when the manager walks in at the wrong time. Noticing this, the manager awkwardly turns around and leaves, and Shou Way stops himself from doing anything further. The next day, they're all preparing the shop, decorating everything, but they have to finish all the work by tomorrow. They're exhausted when suddenly Chen Li and Shou Way's friends show up saying, "We knew you'd need our help, so here we are." Chen Li says, "You guys came at the perfect time, we're so tired." After they leave, the manager remarks, "I didn't know you got along so well with your classmates." Shou Way replies, "Look at yourself. I don't get along with you." Finally, by night, they've completed all the work. Their friends and classmates had already left. Shou Way signals and drives away the other employees from there. After they leave, Chen Li says, "This is my first project. Why don't we take a picture?" They take selfies together. The next day, people start visiting their shop. Some company representatives also arrive, and one of them places a 50,000 order. Hearing this, Shou Way and the manager are so happy that they send the representative upstairs to finalize the details. As they're heading upstairs, Chen Li's classmates ask, "Who were they?" Shou Way explains, "They just placed the biggest order here." Hearing this, everyone starts celebrating. But a few days later, some clients return to demand refunds, saying, "The figure you made isn't selling online." Hearing this, Shou Way asks, "Could you give us a little more time?" The man responds, "I already gave you half a month, but it's still not selling, so I want my money back." And he leaves. An employee comes over and tells Shou Way, "A lot of people are here asking for refunds." This makes Shou Way very worried. When he's with Chen Li later, she tries to comfort him by telling him a lot of jokes, and Shou Way ends up hugging her. Chen Li then returns to dorm, looks quite upset. Shu Miao asks, "What's wrong?" Chen Li explains, "Shou Way's company is in bad shape, and the figure we made isn't selling." Shu Miao says, "I can help with this. I'll do a live stream where I'll explain the product." Hearing this, Chen Li gets really excited. Next, Shu Miao goes live, showcasing the products, but people don't seem interested, which disappoints Chen Li. In the following scene, she arrives at the shop with an engineer, introducing him to Shou Way. "This is a virtual reality engineer. I wanted to show him our shop." After they leave, the manager asks Shou Way, "What's virtual reality?" Shou Way explains, "It's an online trend these days. We'll create an ad using virtual reality, which might help increase our product sales." After posting the ad, they monitor their product sales and realize that people love the ad, and their sales increase significantly, making them very happy. In the next scene, the directors from different branches meet with Shou Way's dad, comparing who had the best sales this season. Shou Way ends up winning the season. After the meeting, he walks out and makes sad face in front of Chen Li, making Chen Li look worried, but then he reveals that he won. Chen Li excitedly hugs him, and as they embrace, Shou Way's dad arrives, causing Chen Li to quickly step back. After chatting with them, his dad smiles and leaves. Meanwhile, Shu Miao and Monitor go shopping together, and many boys look at Shu Miao. Feeling a bit jealous, Monitor starts drinking her milk tea to make it look like he's her boyfriend, which prompts the boys to walk away. Then, Shu Miao notices her roommate shopping nearby. She walks over and says, "You know that I have a great fashion sense. I can help you in shopping." Her roommate agrees. Zhu Miao leaves Monitor behind and leaves with her roommate. Meanwhile, Chen Li daydreams about ideas to boost sales in the shop. Shou Way then mentions, "With the investment from my dad, we can actually open 3 more shops." Just then, Chen Li receives a call informing her that the garden from her high school is being demolished. Hearing this, Shou Way immediately takes her to the garden, where he digs up a box he had buried there, which contains a note from Chen Li saying, "Okay." After reading it, he places the box back in the ground. Chen Li worries about the box, saying, "What if they build over it?" Shou Way says, "It'll stay buried there. If you don't want that, we can bury it beneath our company." Chen Li responds, "What if our company goes bankrupt?" Shou Way says, "Then we'll bury it in our home garden." This makes Chen Li happy, but she says, "What if you leave me one day?" Shou Way replies, "I'll never leave you." Then their memories from the start to the end of their journey flash by, and they embrace each other. This marks the happy ending of the drama. If you'd like to see more dramas like this, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like the video. And let us know in the comments how you liked this drama.